Potsy, it's been a brilliant couple of weeks for you, bringing up your first Durham century and bringing up 200 first-class wickets. First question, can you remember your first-class wicket and what the field was?
Yes, I think I can, yeah. It was at Canterbury. I'd bowled about 18 overs maybe in the first innings, unrewarded. And we got into the depths on day 4, trying to force a win against them. I think we had them 7 down and Collie chucks me the ball. And it was Matt Cole's LBW. Not sure if it was actually out, might have pitched outside leg, but it was definitely hitting the stumps. But yeah, that gave us a chance of trying to force a win. Unfortunately, we got them 9 down in the end and I had the last over of the game and couldn't get it across the line.
Very frustrating that, but I guess also there's still the enjoyment of getting that first wicket, just getting out of the way.
Yeah, it felt like I was waiting an eternity for it. I felt as though I was bowling well, couldn't get it across the line, and I was like, what am I doing wrong? All kinds of things. As a young lad, you're kind of thinking too much about it, and then just ran in and bowled hard.
And then moving on to Warwickshire, obviously another momentous occasion earlier this season, bringing up your first-class century. What were you kind of feeling? Because you'd batted on day 3 previously, you'd made 14 and you're asked to go in at number 3 as night watchman. What did you feel? Were you comfortable with where you were out in the middle? Yeah,
I felt as though the pitch was obviously spinning quite considerably. The main threat was probably going to be from the spin. They were keen to get that on. And then obviously it was too dark to bowl the seamers, so I kind of knew what I was going out to, a new ball that's going to bite and turn viciously, and it was just about doing the job for the team there. If we had any kind of hope of getting a draw out of the game, it was to try and survive through that night and be a pain in the backside the next day.
You certainly provided that from Warwickshire's perspective. How did you keep composed, because this is your first time in first class cricket being in that position? How did you kind of keep composed, and did Ollie Robinson have any kind of calming words at their end for you when you got towards the 80s and 90s?
To be honest, I was actually more nervous around 80, around my first class PB, than I was in the 90s. It was one of those things that kind of I felt a little bit partly responsible for the position we were in the game. Obviously we hadn't bowled very well as a unit, and we kind of found ourselves in that position and we'd put a lot of pressure on the batsman, and it just kind of felt as though I had to stand up and try and provide that resistance and kind of that ownership and responsibility, never let die really. And Robbo was funny. As soon as I hit the ball behind point, he was like, I'm coming. And I was like, he's going to run himself out here. I was like, I'm going to have to try and get these tired legs across. But no, we made it comfortably. But yeah, nice sense of relief, and Robbo was really proud of me.
And then obviously you're a proud northeastern guy. You spoke very eloquently from the heart when giving Scott Boland his Durham cap. How important is it for you to represent this region and be proud of your heritage here?
Yeah, I think we're incredibly privileged. Obviously we haven't been around that long as other counties. But what we've gained here and kind of the fan base that we've got, everyone's kind of works hard around here, and they come and spend their hard-earned money to come and watch us and put faith in us. It's nice to kind of repay that and be proud of what we do. And I think everyone feels that throughout the dressing room. Those that join us, those that aren't from the area, they definitely get a sense of that pride and passion when we play and every time we wear the cap.
And then you also went on the Lions tour at the start of the season, well, back in January, kind of with 4 other guys from Durham. I think Alex Lees, Cal Parkey, Bryden Cars and
Ollie Robb
as well. How crucial was that, not only to help Cal integrate here to Durham, being around other guys, but also, to get some more cricket under your belt after you'd already had a brilliant season, but to kind of get the legs moving a bit earlier this season as well?
Yeah, I think it's always nice to go away and experience new things from a personal kind of point of view. It does help with loads and kind of getting back into the swing of things. Obviously nice for Cal to integrate in with the Durham boys and find himself in a new environment in the Lions as well. And I thought that he kind of took that like a duck to water. We got on really well, all of us out there, and kind of we had a little bit of a Durham contingent out there, which all the coaches kept on reminding us about, especially with Killer being head coach. But yeah, it was nice to let Cal kind of almost ease his way into that environment. He got to know us very well, so at least when he came to the Durham environment, he knew a few people, and Cal's a very sprightly bloke, so he gets on well with everyone really.
Strong Durham, strong England is the phrase I'm getting from that. You and Carsey, I think on the first day of day 2, ran through India and got all 10 wickets between you. How just sum up that feeling for us of being able, with one of the guys that you've come up with, you've spent a lot of time with, both in Durham colours and in England colours in the white ball setup. How kind of that feeling is to be bowling in tandem with one of your closest mates and get those wickets.
Yeah, I feel as though whenever you're bowling in a tandem with Carsey, you know, his pace is unsettling to other batsmen, so it's actually quite nice to be down the other end. I think
makes your job easier.
Yeah, slightly. He just gets the feet kind of going a little bit and getting them playing a few rash shots. But no, I thought they bowled beautifully out there. The pitch wasn't offering an awful lot at the time that we bowled. A little bit of nip, a little bit of swing, but he ran in and bowled very hard and very fast and kind of unsettled a lot of their batsmen, and got a few key wickets out there for us as well, which was important to kind of get 10 wickets out there.
And then looking back and forward on England, you managed to pick up some more appearances last year, mainly against Ireland, both in the Test side and the one-day side at the back end of the summer, really just before the World Cup. How sort of grateful are you for those experiences? And you seem you kind of very down to earth and you don't take it for granted. So how grateful kind of is it whenever you see your name being picked up on those squad sheets?
I feel as though, pardon me, I feel as though when you're kind of thrust in that environment, you never want to leave it. And I think the hardest thing for me was kind of being on the backside of it. Being kind of in between whether I'm going to be in the squad or not, and I think that was actually quite hard for me to adjust to early on, especially when I first got left out of the Ashes squad. That was quite not a disappointing, bit of a tough time, kind of re-evaluatory period for me. Came back to Durham and obviously wanted to do well and kind of strive for that, and that kind of allowed me to narrow my focus down. So going on those trips to the back end, obviously we had an Abu Dhabi camp with the Lions, and then moving into the white ball in the Caribbean, that was kind of a big point for me. A little bit of a show of faith, obviously unfortunate circumstances with Josh Tongue going down injured. But yeah, keen to step up to the mark, and any time I get to wear the 3 Lions, you know, I'm going to wear it with pride and give it my all.
And then moving ahead to this Test summer, you would have spent a little bit of time with Stuart Broad when you have been in England before. Obviously it's the first one without him. How much will you miss just having his presence in the dressing room? Obviously a guy who's got 600 odd Test wickets and probably proved as a bit of sounding board for you. So how much will you miss kind of his presence in the dressing room, but also what's the excitement level of potentially being one of the first ones to get a crack at replacing him? Yeah,
I feel as though Stu was a massive presence in the dressing room. There's always the running joke about how good the coffee is, which we kind of took up a little bit in India when we were struggling, and we were trying to push through that. But yeah, Stu was great, and so was Jimmy. You know, you work with those guys, they're constantly providing pointers, ideas, and you'd be stupid to ignore them. There's so much experience there and so much knowledge that you can tap into, even if it's a couple of gold nuggets that you can get out of 1,000 conversations with them. Each little bit helps, and you know, he was great around that. But looking forward, obviously everyone that's a seamer in England knows there's an opportunity there now that Stu's stepped back. And yeah, I think everyone's just kind of eager in anticipation, really hoping to start the season well, take loads of wickets and be the lucky one to get that call. And if it is me, then so be it. If it's someone else, then so be it as well. It's one of those things that whoever gets that kind of responsibility and gets called up, I'm sure they'll do a fantastic job and they'll wear it with pride.
And then finally, you mentioned there it being sort of a bit of a transition to adjusting to being named in England squads but not getting on the park. You came back to Durham, I think for most games that you could really, they were going on. How important is that for you? You seem to make a real emphasis to be constantly playing your cricket. How important is it for you at that point to kind of accept that, okay, I'm not in the Test squad now, but I need to get back to playing for Durham? How much pride does just wearing the Durham badge give you? Yeah,
wearing the Durham badge is everything. It's the same pride that you wear when you wear the 3 Lions. You treat it the same. You don't treat your performances any differently. Obviously disappointed if you don't do very well, and that will be the same in an England shirt. I just think it's very important. Obviously it was a big season for us last year. We put ourselves in strong positions and then we kind of disappeared for a little bit. We lost a couple of players to England squads and whatnot, and it kind of felt as though it was the duty to come back. I love playing for Durham, and when we had a kind of a sniff at that, there was not an opportunity that I would turn down to come back and, you know, provide help with the boys and get back in the trenches.